Hey everyone, okay, so in today's video I'm going to be talking about filters and their use in Instagram and of course YouTube videos. The use of a filter is to give the illusion that the subject, myself or whomever, has more beautiful skin, more flawless, poreless and airbrush skin than they really do. It's also a way to showcase a product and how the product will look on the skin, and it gives the representation that that product can achieve that look when it cannot because a filter has been used. Throughout this video you will see a filter or filters being applied to the video and getting more extreme as the video goes along. And trust me, I have seen some videos with the use of filters that are incredibly ridiculous looking, and so that's what we're going to do. We're going to start out relatively subtly and then we're going to really go for it. So I'm just going to apply a tiny bit of moisturizer to the skin, nothing particularly fancy or special. And we're going to do a very, very quick application of blusher and foundation. And that's it. That's all we need, right? That's all we need. So I'm going to take a blusher and I'm just going to actually apply this first. And I'm just going to dot this quite heavily on the areas where I'd like there to be brightness in the skin. I'm then going to apply a foundation over this. Now the problem with filters is that they do give the illusion that the subject has more beautiful, flawless skin, but that the product that they're using will give you that result because of the filter, which it cannot. And that is the problem. And we're seeing it more and more on YouTube videos, more and more on Instagram videos, and more from cosmetic companies who are following suit, adding in filters to already gorgeous, beautiful young models, giving the illusion that that foundation, that concealer, that blusher, that eyeshadow can give you that same result, when of course it can't because they're using a filter. So I'm just buffing this in, and all that did was take that blusher and make it look like it's coming from underneath the skin, which looks great, I think. But we're going to add a little bit more because we want to layer this so that you can see more a full coverage version on one side and the filtered one on the other. So we're going to go back in and just re-add in that blush. Now everybody's different with blusher. I kind of like it in this area. I know it's a little bit kind of looks a little bit clown-like to begin with, you know, the kind of circus doll or something like that, but it works quite well for my face shape because it does give the illusion that you've just been outside in the kind of cool air, which I kind of like. So again, I'm just going to buff over these areas. I've spoken about this ad nauseum, but many years ago, we're talking over 20 years ago now, I had terrible skin problems, and I was sat in TGI's and there was this gentleman sat opposite me and he looked like he'd come back from skiing. He looked so healthy. He had these flushed cheeks here from some slight sunburn and this slight golden appearance to the skin. He looked so healthy and I was so jealous of this complexion that I wanted to emulate it with that kind of flushed look to the skin. So what we're going to do now is add a little bit of concealer underneath the eyes. I'm actually going to use the same foundation. I'm actually using Bare Minerals in medium. I'm just going to apply that slightly heavier to the inside corners. So I'm going to take the same product as I mentioned, and I'm just going to get some on a brush, and I'm just going to go right in at the inner corner here, and this just kind of brightens up that recessed area. And a good thing about applying concealer on the inside of the eye right here is that this area doesn't crease the same as this area here. This creases a lot. So if you can, I mean, some people, you really do have darkness underneath the eyes and it does need to be addressed, but if you don't, there's no reason to take it all the way under unless you really need to. But it just gives a wider appearance to the eye. And then right here on the outside corner, it can be discolored, and it's a good idea to address that. Mine gets very discolored, you know, It happens. Let's not worry about it. So I think we should kind of warm up the complexion as well. So I think we'll use a bronzer. So I'm going to use a relatively fair bronzer, and I'm actually going to take the same brush that I used to apply the blusher with, so that there is at least a bit of uniformity to it. I'm going to start in the hairline and work my way down. I'm not trying to contour, and then I'm going to go back in with that foundation brush to give a more seamless effect, so that we've got a little bit of that blusher color with some of the bronzer, so you've got more of a realistic tone going onto the skin. And again, that same kind of color, but I'm actually going to just bring it down like this. So I'm kind of keeping the center portion of the face the lightest. And then dragging it down onto the neck. And I'm going to take the same brush, which is the one we started with, and I'm just going over that, no extra product on the foundation brush or the brush that I'm using, and just working it into the skin so that you end up, hopefully, it looks all right here, with a nice blended kind of look to the face. Now, if you want to add a little bit more bronze or a little bit more light, you absolutely can. I'm just going to add a little higher concentration right here to get rid of that irritant that's on the skin, and just to highlight around the nose. Not everybody needs to highlight around the nose. Generally speaking, or if you look at me as a good example, my nostrils are actually very narrow, and when they're flared, they tend to give more balance to the face. So I'm highlighting around them to give the illusion that this part of the nose is a little bit wider, rather than making it look a little bit more narrow. But everybody's nose is different, and contouring with two straight lines doesn't suit a lot of people. And I think that just because we see that on YouTube, we assume that that's how you contour, and you contour your nose for your nose shape. And I've done plenty of videos on it. I'll link it up somewhere and you can have a look. So 7 different nose types. Okay, how glorious is that? That's very glorious. And my ears are not looking too pink today. So I think we'll finish with a tiny touch of shimmer, and then we'll be done with this video. I hope you can see that not everything we see on YouTube is always accurate. And we need to take everything we see with a pinch of salt, because none of us can look like we've got a filter on in real life. We just can't. There are techniques that we can do to give our skin the appearance of being more flawless, more beautiful, but we can't really mimic a filter. We just can't. And when we're looking at other YouTubers or other talent, or just the way a product looks, we need to remember that it's highly likely that a very, very effective filter has been added to it that you may not be able to see or even discern from, but is almost certainly there. Because YouTubers and influencers, you're viewing, it's like they're on a big screen. It's their time to shine. And of course you want to look your best, but by doing it, you can be giving the illusion that everything that I just did can give you a similar look, when in fact it's the filter giving you that kind of extreme illusion. Okay, so we're highlighted. I like to blend the highlighter in afterwards, because I just want it to kind of pop on the cheekbone, but not to the point where you could cross the street and you'd just terrify a young kid, because you would just be radiating shine everywhere. And there you go. Flawless, poreless, practically inhuman. It's a funny world, isn't it? But please take everything with a pinch of salt. When you're seeing a product being demonstrated, check to see if there are filters added to it. Check to see if the product really can deliver that kind of poreless, flawless, airbrushed result. Some really can give a really incredible look to the skin. I'm a big fan of mineral foundation. I'm also a big fan of cream foundations. Cream foundations in particular, especially with correct techniques, can really smooth over pores much better than pretty much any other form of foundation. But they'll never give you a filtered look. Nothing can. Nothing. Thanks for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are on this, and I will see you all very soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.